Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton.
Oh, hello there, dummies, and welcome. Episode 23 of the stupidest sports show on earth. This is our Jordan show, our LeBron show. Who else was 23? Give me some 23s that you know.
I mean, you named the two popular ones there. I'm sure there's others because everybody wanted to be that number. All the kids when they get their jerseys in like elementary and junior high and high school, they all die for number 23. So there's a lot of 23s. You look at any team, and that's the one number that there always seems to be. You know, there's always a number that maybe isn't out there, but 23. Somebody's picked 23 in every team.
It's our Devin Hester show.
Devin Hester, all right. To you Bears fans, although he was good, I can't poke fun at him. Devin Hester, very good at what he did in the NFL.
Kirk Gibson,
very good, very popular because of what he did. Keep naming
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know my heart's set on Christian McCaffrey. He has broke my heart this year, but the guy won me a fantasy championship.
And last but not least, of course, probably the most famous 23 from the NBA, Lou Williams.
Yeah, but again, that's another guy you can appreciate because of his role and what he did with his role and what he's done with his role. It was very good. Like that, I mean, we sometimes underappreciate that about guys in sports. Like, what was your role? Like Lou Williams' role was not to be Michael Jordan. Williams' role was to be that really damn good guy off the bench, and he was really damn good off the bench.
I can't wait till like football season's done and we got to talk some NBA and we'll have all these conversations about like our favorite sixth men and all that stuff, like backup centers. Like those are going to be the fun shows.
Yeah.
But I think we've learned early on that pretty much every single person that wears number 23 has to be good. Like, I don't know if you'll ever see a 23 in sports where it's like, oh, this guy sucks.
Not usually. And I think a lot of times, for whatever reason, like the top kid or the top dude gets to pick that number first. And so maybe that's why. It's the MJ number. It's the LeBron number. But yeah, that 23. Show number 23. All right, here we go.
We did it. It was supposed to be Tuesday, but, you know, everything got mixed up after for last Friday. I don't know what happened there. Still don't. But anyways, we're here on this Friday morning. My name, as you can see on the screen, is Tim El Duque Van Stratton. With me is Rodney Newpol. He is celebrating his Philadelphia Eagles with a dominant, convincing victory where they just scored all their points in garbage time, and it was a pretty awful, terrible game. But congratulations. We're all so happy for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's not go too far here. I'm not a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I am rooting for them this year because they are one of my Super Bowl picks. And right now, I'm just doing it to absolutely do everything I can to trigger you. Everything I can to trigger you on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like Nick Sirianni, great play call last night. I'm trying. You didn't take the bait last night. You played it off really well. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, come on. Philadelphia is still pretty good. And let me just say one thing. Washington showed that they were very tired last night, I thought. They are the last team to take a bye, well, with Philadelphia, but a younger team with a younger quarterback. Jalen Daniels was pretty bad last night. And whether it was tired or not, we'll just blame it on that. He looked tired. They looked tired. We're hoping for Washington's sake, for Dan Quinn's sake, they come back a little bit better after the bye. And why didn't Dan Quinn kick a field goal to go up one?
I don't know. And I keep thinking about what went wrong there because, okay, it's a 1-point game. Like Jake Elliott, who missed 2 field goals and an extra point, gifted you an opportunity to take a lead there. They were well within field goal range. Zane Gonzalez the last couple weeks hasn't done anything to make you not believe that he couldn't make that field goal, right? This wasn't like they were attempting some 62-yarder. It's not like there were these wins and all that. Like it was well within range of a field goal. And it's 4th and 2, and like the play was immediately blown up
Yeah.
Weren't even close to converting it. And then the Eagles, of course, go down the field and then score, and then that's that. Like it between that, what was worse, Rodney? Dan Quinn's decision to not kick there, which normally people are like, okay, fine, good, go for it. But in that situation, you got to kick.
You got to kick.
Or was it Cliff Kingsbury not realizing that it's still a 2-possession game when it was 26-10, and for whatever reason decided to take the longest drive possible, and then by the time they scored, there was 32 seconds left.
Yeah.
I mean, they took like a 4-minute drive to get it to a 1-possession game. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, several times handing the ball up the middle and then huddling again. Like, I didn't understand that one. And I think they still had 1 or 2 of their timeouts still left there during that drive. I think they did. But anyways, yeah, both poor decisions. Again, I hope Washington comes back because it's fun to see Washington better. It's fun to see Washington play well. And it's fun to see Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's still obviously favorite for Rookie of the Year. I think your MVP pick is probably not going to happen. I think those odds are pretty erased at this point. And honestly, the NFC East probably I shouldn't say this because we've seen Philadelphia choke before, but the NFC East probably over. It's probably over.
Yeah, I mean 8-2, 7-4. Yeah, the Eagles winning that game put a nice sort of gap between them and Washington.
Yeah.
Going forward, and the Dallas and the Giants are both out. So yeah, I would say the NFC East. I would give it at a 92% chance that the Eagles will win that division now.
Yeah. I mean, we saw a major meltdown of the Eagles last year. I mean, I'm talking like cliche talk here, but probably learn from that. I can't see that happening again. Now for Philadelphia, I mean, they're in the mix for a top seed in the NFC, to be quite honest with you. I mean, with 2 losses, obviously that would be a big deal, grabbing that home bye, getting a bye, and then having a team like San Francisco, because San Francisco could be a 4 seed as coming to Philadelphia instead of going out west. So a lot on the line for Philadelphia here these next 6-7 weeks.
It's really just Detroit is the only competition right now for the 1 seed. Because the Falcons aren't going to be in that. The NFC West winner isn't going to have that type of record, you would think, unless one of those teams gets crazy hot, which we've seen the 49ers go on, a 10-game winning streak to end the year and then end up with 13 wins. Like that could be possible. But no, when you win 6 games in a row like the Eagles have, your record is going to look really good. And I mean, they're 8-2. I can't dispute that. They're going to win the division. They're a playoff team. They got nice players. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I texted you yesterday. I said the Lions beat them by 30. Niners beat them by 20. I still believe that. Like, I believe if that you put the 49ers against the Eagles in January, playoff game, assuming the 49ers are healthy, you got Purdy, you got McCaffrey, I think the 49ers whoop their asses. Whether it's in Philadelphia, San Francisco, doesn't matter.
So you talked about the Lions having the heads up for the 1 seed. Lions got Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Chicago coming up to finish this month. Like, that's 3 games we're expecting Detroit to win. So they're going to put themselves in a tough position to catch. Detroit does have the Bills and the 49ers in December. So 2 games that are going to mean quite a bit for that number 1 seed. But yeah, Detroit's in pretty good shape. Looking at Philadelphia's side, you may know their schedule because you know the NFC East, but Philadelphia obviously getting ready to take a little bit of a bye, not the bye week, but they get the rest of the weekend off. They go to the Rams next weekend. And I am done trying to predict the Rams. I'm done trying to predict the Rams. And then the Eagles got to go
are your 2 worst.
Yeah. The Eagles got to go to the Ravens on December 1st. So there's obviously still competition then at the end of the season with the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. So it'll be interesting to see. That 1 seed could mean a big deal in the NFC.
Yeah. Rams, Ravens, Commanders, all on the road.
Yes.
In their final, 7 games or so. So yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. But ending with a bad Cowboys team without Dak and then the Giants week 18 is a nice little boost for them and should give them some breathing room.
But nobody better to lead them than Nick Sirianni, right? So they'll be led accordingly.
I mean, that's the only reason I know that they're in great hands, because of the genius and intellect of Nick Sirianni, who's famously composed under pressure and who has never led them astray.
Nope.
Who has only achieved great things there. This is what I don't understand about yesterday. Like, all right, was it Jaden Daniels or was it the offense? But Washington just decided, hey, let's not take any shots down the field.
None.
Like, we have Terry McLaurin, who's had a great year. Let's just not use him at all. Like, he got 2 targets.
No, and they were, and the one of them was late there. Yeah. Zach Ertz obviously played pretty well. He had that 2-point conversion, which was an amazing catch, by the way. I don't know how he caught
it was
that.
Fantastic. Yeah.
You also have Noah Brown, who can play a little bit. I know he's not an elite receiver in this league. And then, there's all this talk about like the rookie Luke McCaffrey. Like, we didn't even see him. Like, try to throw to somebody. I was interested. You sent that graphic across. Austin Eckler had 6 catches, and like nobody else had a catch for Washington at that point.
Yeah. So the final tally was Austin Eckler 8 catches on 9 targets for 89 yards.
Crazy.
Zach Ertz had 6 catches on 7 targets for 47 yards. So like a ton of receptions for both those guys. Efficient, only 1 incompletion. So, and the Eckler incompletion was the one that, did it get tipped or did he just straight up drop it?
I can't remember. I think it must have been early. I may have missed that one.
It was in the first half. Yeah,
okay,
but it was one where it was on a 3rd down that he was wide open and just couldn't pull the catch. So that was the only incompletion there. But then after that, you had John Bates for 2 catches. And then McLaurin, Zacchaeus, Robinson, Brown, De'Ami Brown, and McNichols all had 1 catch each.
Yeah. So I get it. I get it early in the game.
For 10 yards or less. For 10 yards, I should have thrown that in. Sorry. Like, all those 1 yard, and McLaurin and Zacchaeus had 10 yards too. Yeah. So nothing down the field, no deep shots. Like, it was baffling. It was baffling the way that they played that game yesterday.
And I get it to an extent earlier in the game, and obviously it was fairly successful at halftime taking the lead. But once you started falling behind, and to your point, especially there when you're down 2 scores, like, okay, now you have to throw the deep ball. Okay, you might throw another interception here, Jaden. That interception that he did throw was super untimely. I mean, Philadelphia just scored. He threw an interception. They just scored again. It was a complete snowball for him. But be willing to throw that second interception late in the game when you're down 2 scores, because it's your only shot. Like, you can't dink and dunk 4-minute drive and get back in the game. And I think Jaden Daniels looked really tired, and so hopefully the break for him will help him out. But yeah, it was baffling to say the least.
Any other thoughts on Thursday Night Football, or should we move on to a segment that I'm very excited to do?
No, I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great game. It was at least had 2 teams that I think show some relevance. I mean, we've seen some worse Thursday Night Football games, and it wasn't worse than the Texans Jets for us. So I can move on to that. That's for sure. That one's going to be one I'm going to remember a long time. Texans Jets.
So the over-under on this game, I was thinking about this too. Even with all the flurry of points in the 4th quarter, it still came pretty comfortably under. I think it was sitting at 48.5 or 49.5. And last Thursday's game, the Bengals and Ravens, feels like a little bit of a blip, because these Thursday night games, it seems like way more often than not, we're getting low-scoring games. I mean, and that's the lack of practice. You see a lot of sloppy execution, and as a result of that, these games are under. Like, should we just start betting unders Thursday night no matter what?
Maybe, and there's really a really good reason why last night stayed under, and his name starts with Jake and ends with Elliott. Mm-hmm. He left 7 points on his own off the table with 2 missed field goals and a missed extra point kick. There's 7 points. There's your over. Thanks, Jake Elliott. I'm sure he's getting nice messages this morning from overbettors, because bettors are very, very kind in the morning after their losses. I'm pretty sure of that.
Void all Jake Elliott bets.
he was selling.
All right. All right, so even though we're now in week 10, we've already played week 10 games, so we're past the halfway point. But I want to do a mid-season review. before the season started, or right as the NFL season was starting, Rodney and I went division by division, and we gave you the exact order of how we said the season would go. I went as far even as to pick the winner of every single game through all 18 weeks of the regular season and cooked up the records. And I thought I had them saved. We were originally going to do them on Tuesday, but couldn't find them. So I had to go back and listen to our episode 4 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth in case you guys want to go back and listen to.
Right.
So we're not making this up. It's all right there. Episode 4. Feel free to check it out. We sounded great, very young, full of hope and love. So I went through and I just saw, hey, how did Rodney and I do? And now we are going to review that in our midseason review. Were we seasoned or were we mid? I'm very good at coming up with these names of segments.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm just going to give you sort of the division by division, and I'll tell you exactly the order that we had them. All right. So we'll start in the AFC North. I had the Baltimore Ravens at 13 wins, winning the division. I don't know if they're going to get 13, but Ravens first place, still in the mix right there. I then had the Bengals and Browns sitting at 11 wins.
Ooh.
And then the Steelers in last place with 9 wins. Definitely my biggest whiffs there were the Bengals and the Browns sitting at 11-6, especially the Browns.
Yeah.
Rodney, you had the Bengals winning the division over the Ravens. Ravens second, Steelers third, and then you were right on the money. You did not believe at all in the Cleveland Browns the way I did, and you had them DFL. So I would say my Browns whiff, and then your maybe Bengals in first. But what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's we were very mid in that division. We're very mid in that division.
I would say more mid. I would say more mid than seasoned. I think that's good. All right. Number 2, the AFC East. You and I both had the Buffalo Bills winning the division. Pretty seasoned. This is where it sort of falls off a little bit. If you remember, Rodney, I was very big on the New York Jets for some reason.
Oh, I remember.
I had the Jets at 11 wins.
Oh, I remember.
Second place. And then the Dolphins, Patriots. I said the Dolphins were going to take a step back, feel like that was pretty seasoned, and then the Patriots being in last place. The Patriots might not be in last place, by the way, when this season is said and done, because the Dolphins and the Jets are very much in the mix for that.
Yeah.
You also had the Bills. You like the Bills a lot. You had them as the 1 seed in the AFC, followed by the Dolphins, then the Jets, then the Patriots. It could end up being in that order. So yeah. I would say you won that one.
Mid-season I am winning that one. So what do we do? The first division we're probably tied. Like we both kind of tied. So so it's 1-0-1 me.
Yeah, I think that's good. AFC West, pretty easy. I believe we had the exact same order of finishers here: Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. I didn't mention the records going back and listening, but Broncos and Chargers, I said, would probably take steps forward just because, better coaching situations, and they certainly have. You kind of agreed, but also thought, maybe not immediately, probably like a year or two from really contending, particularly the Chargers, which I agreed with. So I think AFC West, honestly, is a tie for us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, this one was, I wouldn't call it easy, but like you knew who 1 should be. You knew probably who 4 should be. It's really the 2 and 3 in the middle, like Broncos, Chargers. And obviously that could still they could still flip-flop this year. Who's second? Chargers are second right now, but
yeah,
I could see Denver making a little run and catching the Chargers in that division. I could see it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but yeah, no, I think we can tie on that one.
All right. And then the AFC South, no surprises here. We had the Texans winning. I remember having a 3-way tie with the Titans, Jaguars, and Colts for 7 wins each. I don't think you're going to get 7 wins from the Jaguars and the Titans this year.
Nope.
You, Rodney, had the Texans followed by the Jags making the playoffs as a wild card team.
I hope that's my worst pick. I hope it's my worst pick.
And then the Colts, Titans to wrap things up. So,
yeah. So I obviously swung and missed on Jacksonville. I'm not alone. There's other people that picked Jacksonville finish second and maybe make a wild card team, but they stink now. So I'll take my L on that one.
All right. So do I get the narrow win there for the South?
Yeah, you can have that one. That one can go to you. I'll concede that one.
All right. So through the AFC, we each have a win, and then we've tied 2 other places.
Yeah, tied. Yeah,
tied. Right. So like, but okay. At least for myself, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Texans as the division winners, which honestly, like, that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that those teams were going to be the division winners and
Correct.
the leaders through 9 weeks of the season here. Seems like from the beginning, it was pretty obvious that those were the best teams.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I don't feel like the AFC has done much crazier stuff. I mean, obviously 5 through 7 and then the bottom but yeah, we knew these teams would be elite teams.
All right. The NFC. We'll start in the North. The Detroit Lions were my first place team. They were your first place team. Hard to complain about that. The big difference that we had is that I had the Packers second, the Bears third. You, I remember, were not big on the Packers. You had the Bears second, and then the Packers third, missing the playoffs. We both had the Vikings last. I, of course, thought the Vikings were in the conversation to be the worst team in football.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to whiff here because the Bears aren't finishing second. I still am fairly comfortable with my Packers take. I know they're 6-3, and if they can beat the Bears here, that they're going to obviously be 7-3. But I still think the Packers are going to miss the playoffs. I have not done all the research, all the who wins this game, who wins that game. I still think the Packers miss the playoffs. Just looking quickly here after the Bears. So let's say they're 7-3. 49ers, I'm going to give them a loss there. Yeah. Dolphins, I think, could beat the Packers. Dolphins are starting to figure some things out. They're getting better. Now, that is in Green Bay on Thanksgiving Day, so it could be tough. At the Lions, Packers are losing that game. At the Seahawks, Packers could lose that game. And then it's the Saints, Vikings, Bears. If I had to put money down right now, I'm picking the Packers to miss the playoffs.
You did a really good job of convincing me more that the Packers are going to make the playoffs.
That's fine.
By reading that, by trying to tell me that the Dolphins are going to go into Green Bay on Thanksgiving at Lambeau Field late November and win that game.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins just went to LA and won.
Okay, since you've been watching the Miami Dolphins like the last 3 or 4 years, have they won a game that the temperature was below like 60 degrees?
Yeah, remember that playoff game last year? Tyreek was literally
like come on, man. Like, don't sit here and tell me the Dolphins are figuring stuff out when you know damn well that they have no chance to win at Lambeau Field. Come on.
On Thanksgiving Day. I'm gonna sell it though. Yeah. So maybe that's my hope. Maybe I hope Miami gets back in the playoff picture. They could beat the Raiders and the Patriots and then go to Green Bay and be right back in the mix. Because honestly, let's talk the Dolphins real quick. I know we're not in that division, but what, they're 3-6. They've got the Raiders at home. They've got the Patriots at home. So 5 and 6 going to Green Bay. And I get it. Like, yes, they're going to be underdogs. Yes, there's going to be 0 degrees in Green Bay. But like, if they did win that game, they're in a decent spot because they got the Jets twice in their final 5 games. And like, who knows what the Jets are going to be? I could see a scenario where Aaron Rodgers is like, I'm hurt, right? I'm hurt. Something's hurt. It just quits because that's kind of what Aaron Rodgers does. Now they do have the Texans and 49ers in there. But anyways, maybe.
Also, if Aaron Rodgers is hurt, they got Tyrod Taylor, and I actually like the Jets' chances there with Tyrod Taylor at this point.
You're probably right. I was just trying to paint a picture that Miami could maybe make the playoffs. I don't know. Anyways, let's go to the next division.
All right, next division's the NFC East. I have the Cowboys and Eagles tied with the tiebreaker going to the Cowboys just based on, how the season went. So that's going to be a loss for me, but 11 wins for both. Commanders, I had it 9-8, and then the Giants at 6-11. So for what I whiffed on the Cowboys, I more than made up for with the Commanders being over 500. You ended up Eagles first, no surprises. Cowboys, Giants, Commanders in last place.
Yeah. The Commanders are another big whiff for me. Although you got them at 9-8. Yeah. I mean, at this point, they're probably going to finish 9-8 or better. But like,
It would be 2-4 to end the year if they finish 9-8.
Are we sure that? Yeah, they got the Cowboys, they got the Titans, they got the Falcons, they got the Saints. So yeah, they should be in decent shape to get at least 9 wins. So you're a good call there. You're going to take the point on this division.
All right. Who got the point for NFC North?
I think I have to give it to you. Only because of Bears Packers difference. That's a big difference. I mean, we neither one of us can take credit for Minnesota. We both had them last. I mean, I was higher on Minnesota than you were, but like I can't be that much higher if I had them last. I was high on the Bears. You were higher on the Packers. They're ahead. So I think you're ahead 3-1 in this little game we're playing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huge momentum shift. NFC West.
Now, if you could only win some in your Substack and catch up, then
yeah. Hey, man. The Utah Jazz were dominant yesterday.
Yeah,
dominant.
Good win. Did Dallas? I'm not sure what's going on there. Why is Dallas bad again? Mavericks, by the way, not Cowboys. They're both bad, but why are the Mavericks bad?
They had to start something called the Quentin Grimes yesterday, who I know you're very familiar with.
I am very familiar with. He hit some shots, but yeah, why? Why is he starting? Who's out?
Clay, I believe, was out.
Well, he's old. Yeah. All right. Well,
Anyway, a brief little Mavericks Jazz intermission during our NFL midseason review. NFC West. The San Francisco 49ers, no surprises. We had them both winning the division. I think the only division that you and I had different. Okay, no. So we had two. So we had AFC North was different for division winners, and then the NFC East. But everything else we got the same. But we had 49ers. I had the Rams coming in at 8-9, second place. And then I had the Cardinals and Seahawks both at 6-11. Obviously, I think the Cardinals are already at 6 wins. Are the Cardinals already at 6 wins?
Yeah.
Or so that's not going to happen. And then the Seahawks, I've never been a fan of them. You had the 49ers 1, the Seahawks 2, and one of your wild card teams, followed by the Rams and the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't know what to say here because I really don't know how this is going to finish. Yeah. I mean, obviously Arizona is right there. I honestly don't know how this division is going to finish because, like, I see a scenario where, I mean, we both see a scenario where San Francisco wins this division still, best team. But I see a scenario where Seattle can win 2, 3, 4 straight games. LA can find a way to win a couple in a row. I see a scenario where Arizona falls back to the earth a little bit and finishes 7-10. I don't know, man. I don't know about this division. Can we give a point in this one? I don't know. Like, we're if you get the point, why? I don't know here.
Yeah, my point would be being down on the Seahawks, but even still, like, we can't really say it because it's still too early. So I think we just this has to be a wash.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if we know how good or bad the Seahawks and Rams are for sure. They're pretty mid. And then neither one of us got Arizona, right? Like, we both had no idea Arizona was going to be a division leader at this point. So, it's a wash. So 3-1 with 1 to go. You officially win the mid-season review, season or mid. Good job.
NFC South. I think the NFC South might be our strongest one yet. So, looking at these records, this is what I had. I had the Falcons at 10-7. I had the Bucks at 8-9. I had the Panthers at 5-12. And then the Saints at 4-13. I think all of those are possible. The problem is the Saints got that pesky win on Sunday to give them 3 already, and like asking them to only win 1 more game with an interim coach for the rest of the year. Derek Carr's back. It might be a little tough. So maybe the Saints probably end up like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
The 2-0 start really helped them there. Panthers, I could see getting up to 5 wins. They're already at 3. Bucks are, they're kind of fading a little bit. The injuries, but like 8-9, I think, is within reach. And then the Falcons just screamed 10 wins.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Like 1 game ahead of Tampa, probably. Like whatever it takes to finish 1 game ahead. And honestly, I could see a scenario where Atlanta, because it's Atlanta, like ties with Tampa, but they get the because they beat them twice. Like whatever Tampa gets to. So if Tampa gets to 7 wins, Atlanta's like, yep, we're getting to 7 wins, and we'll go to the playoffs at 7-10 because that's what's happening. I mean, Atlanta is 2 games, won both games, so they have the tiebreaker. So even in a tie scenario, Atlanta makes the playoffs, and I just Atlanta just pisses me off more than anything. Like, why are you not better than this? I'll never understand.
Yeah, well, so the good news for Atlanta though is that like because Tampa Bay has had all the injuries, they've created a little bit of a gap there. So the Falcons are 6-4, the Bucks are 4-6. So there is that sort of 2-game difference.
Yeah.
So I think that helps. But yeah, I mean the Falcons have won a lot of close games. Their point differential is +2. It's not like they've been a very dominant team. So
no,
nothing would surprise me. Nothing.
What
would
did
surprise me
I have in this division?
And then, yes, you had Falcons 1, Bucks 2, and then you flipped the Saints and Panthers. So Saints 3, Panthers 4.
Yeah,
which could still happen. So it's honestly tie pretty much.
Yeah, sure. Interesting. Interesting. And kudos to you for picking up the win.
And then playoff seeds, I'll just run through them real quick. So we'll start with you here. So your playoff seeds in order. Rodney had the Bills number 1, Chiefs 2, Bengals 3, Texans 4, Ravens 5, Dolphins 6, Jaguars 7.
Okay.
So fell off the rails a little bit at the end, but honestly, first 5, pretty strong.
I had faith in the state of Florida. That was probably my problem there. Jacksonville, Miami, and then Tampa. You do love
your Florida teams, like across all sports for some reason.
I think they should be better. Like Miami should be better. Right? And okay, so Miami, part of that reason is obviously they missed their quarterback there for 4 weeks or whatever it was. But I don't know. Like don't get me started on Miami again because I still think there's a shot.
There's no shot. I'll save you the trouble there, partner. There's no shot. Right. AFC, I had Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Texans, and then Bengals, Browns, Jets. So so our wildcard teams really just sort of petered off.
Your faith was in the state of Ohio.
Yeah. Not any better. I don't know why.
Yeah, you love your Ohio. You love your Ohio teams.
I do. I do have a well-documented history of covering the Ohio sports market for some reason. I've been to Ohio once. Well, I went to the I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I went to Cleveland, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like the same weekend. So that was my Ohio experience, and ever since then I fell in love with everything there, all the teams. And
there you go.
Yeah. NFC. So you had the Eagles as your 1 seed, 49ers, Lions, Falcons, wild card, Cowboys, Seahawks, Bears.
Okay. All right, Lions, Seahawks, Bears. Yeah, Bears aren't making the playoffs. Seattle might get in. We don't know who the wild card teams are going to be in the NFC, and that's where I'll still stick with Green Bay not making the playoffs.
I'll tell you, I'll save you the trouble. The Seahawks won't get into the playoffs.
So no Seahawks, no Dolphins. Man, you're confident today.
Okay. Well, I mean, look at the NFC, dude. Like the way that it's structured right now. So the Packers are 2 games ahead, or a game and a half ahead of Seattle. The Vikings are still. I know we're kind of down on the Vikings, but you forget the Vikings are still 7-2. There's a really good chance that the NFC North could have 3 playoff teams there. That's not counting the Commanders that are at 7-4. That's not counting that the Cardinals and the 49ers are both over 500 right now. We think the Rams probably have a better shot to hang around. Like Seahawks got to climb 5 teams, dude. Like they got to climb a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm still holding out hope.
I had the 49ers to wrap things up. 49ers is the 1 seed, followed by the Lions, Cowboys, gross, Falcons, and then Eagles, Packers, Bears. It's my wild card teams. The Bears just shit the bed.
Yeah,
just a terrible team. I was watching. This is very random here. So last night during the Monday Night Football game, I was watching. I don't know. Take this how you will. I was watching a Barstool Sports sort of live they were like live streaming themselves watching the game because they just hired John Gruden.
I saw that.
So John Gruden's now a full-time Barstool employee. So it was just John Gruden in there, and I was watching a little bit of it. And they were talking about the young quarterbacks, and they asked him, like, hey, John, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Drake May or Caleb Williams? And without even a second thought, he said Drake May.
Really?
He's not very high on Caleb Williams, but know what it is? He's actually extremely high on Drake May. And he's like, Drake May, like 5-star, like lock. I think it's going to be an absolute superstar. It just wasn't the highest on Caleb Williams. And then Jaden Daniels, I think he was like, well, last night was probably not a good sort of night to stand out if you were Jaden Daniels. But I just thought that was interesting.
And John Gruden is a guy I like to listen to when talking about quarterbacks for sure. I mean, that's what the guy does. Like he literally, and that's what he's done since he's been was fired last. Like he literally just sits and studies quarterbacks over and over and over and over and over. Right. So that's some good words there.
Yeah. No, I tend to believe him in the quarterback department. But yeah, all that to say, Bears just now you have people thinking that your quarterback is like the third best rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And then Bo Nix is even knocking on the door now. Like, that's not good. This is not at all what we expected, what a lot of people expected. In hindsight, I don't know why we thought that things would go differently for the Chicago Bears, famously inept.
So while we're on that topic, any chance they beat Green Bay this weekend?
It's funny because as I finish ranting about how could we fall into the trap of believing in the Bears, I do actually think they have a chance to beat Green Bay this week. I learned that no single player on the Chicago Bears roster right now has experienced a victory over the Green Bay Packers as a member of the Bears.
Not one.
So not a single one. Not a single damn player has beaten the Packers that's on that team. That said, I wouldn't be terribly shocked. 5.5 points. I'm probably staying away. Or
yeah.
Like what I would do is I would parlay it, like parlay the Packers money line or something with other stuff. But yeah, of course, like a Sunday afternoon it'll be 3:00. We'll be like, how could we have doubted when the Packers win, 20-7? But I don't know.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to see from Green Bay is I feel like, and I'm looking up numbers now, I feel like Jordan Love has turned it over at a really high rate. And I guess I am correct because he has at least one interception in 7 straight games. He has 4 in his last 3. He had a 3-interception game against the Vikings early in the season. Like, I'm not buying into Green Bay until he quits turning the ball over. Now, again, Chicago has not shown anything offensively over the last 3 weeks. It's going to be like, oh, well, if he turns it over, Chicago will make him pay. But I think there's a scenario there where Chicago might make them pay. A new offensive coordinator, you never know what's going to come at you. There's always that one game after kind of a coaching change that's like, oh, they're back. Yeah, I'm probably staying away as well. But if I had to, I'm taking Chicago in those points.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. If it was Shane Waldron calling the offense,
yes,
I would feel much more confident that the Packers easily win this game. But just the new coordinator, sort of the rejuvenated sense of confidence and ability, and like the Bears still have talent. No one's disputing that. It's not like we're like, wow, this is a terrible team. Like they have talented players. I still think that they could have been a playoff team this year. It's just the execution has been really bad. The coaching has been really bad. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Packers, as much as I'm confident the Packers will still find a way to make the playoffs. You're not, obviously, but we can't sit here and say, oh, the Packers have looked so dominant the last few weeks. It's not really. And you're spot on about Jordan Love. He's done a lot of really good things, but also he makes a lot of really bad throws and a lot of turnovers. And yeah, if the Bears are even able to capitalize on one of those, let's say he throws 2 interceptions, right? The Bears even capitalize on one of them. Like that's huge.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it could and should be probably low scoring. So a defensive touchdown, a 2017 type win for the Bears. I mean, we're not going to see the Bears win in a shootout right now. They don't have things going offensively enough to do so. So yeah, a turnover score, could be the difference in this game. And Jordan Love's got to quit turning it over. He's got to quit turning it over. And that ain't going to work in the playoffs if they do get there. So
no,
it'll be interesting.
All right, so let's continue. Let's look at other games. We'll keep it in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
We were kind of going over the games a little bit before the show, and we're like, there's a lot of really good matchups that I could see going a bunch of different ways. It's honestly pretty scary as a bettor to look at some of these games, and because I look at a game like Vikings Titans, right? And I know I picked one that's like pretty crappy, but Vikings Titans, where the Vikings are a 6-point favorite on the road.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, that's a big number. The Vikings haven't looked particularly sharp. They barely snuck past Jacksonville last week. I probably want to go with the Titans here. But then there's the other side of me that's like, Tim, you would be betting U.S. American dollars on the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. Same thing with that Raiders-Dolphins game. Those are two bad teams. Same thing with that Rams-Patriots game. The Rams got to go to the Patriots. In my mind, I'm like, okay, the Patriots should be in a good spot there. But then do I want to bet hard-earned American dollars on the Patriots?
Yeah.
The Browns at the Saints? Like, these are a lot of matchups. Colts-Jets is another one. Scares the crap out of me. So I don't know. It's going to be one of those weekends where I feel like it's going to be a lot of player props and not a lot of spreads.
Yeah, and that's where when we get to our best bets for betting, that's why you'll see what my mindset is going into this week as far as my NFL betting is like, okay, some of these games where there's two bad teams or a bad team that kind of looks sexy against the spread, like, yeah, probably best to stay away. They got like the two sides, one talking to me saying do it, one saying don't, the devil in one, the angel in the other. But yeah, so I think at this point for me, like I am going to try to focus on the teams that I really think are good.
Mm-hmm.
And if the number looks right, I'm going to take that number and I'm going to stick with the teams I think are good in the National Football League. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I think that's my approach here for week 11.
And there are, I rattle off a bunch of the games with like kind of crappier teams and stuff, but I would say the best games. So in the noon window, Packers Bears is always fun because it's that rivalry. And then Ravens Steelers is going to be awesome. And then the NFL, I've noticed the last couple of weeks that they've really put multiple good games on in that 3:00 window. Normally you just have one and then they kind of throw like the Chargers and Titans and whatever other filth there. But the 3:00 window, we have Falcons, Broncos, Seahawks, 49ers, and then Chiefs, Bills. Obviously Chiefs, Bills is going to get massive ratings. That's going to be the focus there. That game is in Buffalo, but those are three really good games. Get your YouTube TV on, put all three of those games in your multi-view and just set it and forget it and enjoy it. So, So those are going to be really good. And the Chargers, or Bengals Chargers Sunday Night Football, they got flexed because initially it was Colts Jets. Thank God that they moved that one out.
Yeah, no more Aaron Rodgers on primetime for a while would be just fine.
Very, very fine with me. But Bengals Chargers, I think, should be good. At 4-6, the Bengals need to win this game, right?
I mean, how many damn must-wins does this team have?
And they keep losing them. But here's the thing: the AFC, they picked a really good year to do this because the AFC as a whole is so bad after those first 3 teams.
Yeah.
So AFC, who's for sure making the playoffs? At this point, the Chiefs,
Buffalo, Kansas City,
Buffalo, right?
Houston,
yeah, and then Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
I'm still not sure Pittsburgh because they've started so well. Yes, Pittsburgh probably should.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not asking if the Steelers are amazing. I'm just asking, are they going to make the playoffs? And based on how the seasons are, they're 7-2.
Yeah. There's 5 teams right there. Yes, those 5 should be in great spot to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but then it's the Chargers are 6-3 right now. So if the Bengals win this game, that's a huge push for their playoffs because it's against a team that's directly in front of them. Right. So if they lose though, then that's going to be really, really hard because they're not even going to have that tiebreaker. But then it's like Denver. You think that Miami's still in the mix? It's a lot of really bad teams after that.
Yeah, so to your point, yes, Cincinnati, a big win here would put them in a great spot to be at least contending over the final weeks. But I swear this is their third must-win game of the season, the third. And they're 0-2 in the first two. But you're right, like you can't lose this one to LA. If you're looking at LA being a 6 or 7 seed, Cincinnati, you can't lose this game if you want to catch up to them. So it is a big game for the Bengals and a big game for the Chargers because, like, are we? I know people are still wondering if the Chargers are for real. This would be one of those signature type wins. Even though Cincinnati's 4-6, I still think it would be a signature type win for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers have a much better defense,
yeah,
and it's hard to argue like Jim Harbaugh versus Zach Taylor. Yeah, so like really, it's going to come down to just is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, because if they have a performance like they did against Baltimore, they should win, because I don't think the Chargers offense is going to be able to.
I mean, yeah, I think
Baltimore did.
Yeah, I think anytime you get like 300 receiving yards from a guy, yeah, you probably should have a good chance of winning. Yes, but LA will have a better plan and better execution than the Ravens did. That's the crazy part about the Ravens is how good they are, but their pass defense has been absolutely horrific. They're going to have to figure that out, and especially postseason. And if you have to face Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes back-to-back weeks in the playoffs, like Ravens, you might want to figure this out.
I pulled up the Chargers schedule for a second. You know how I like to do like the, hey, this team has 6 wins or 7 wins. Who have they actually beat, right? So I'm going to tell you the teams that the Chargers have wins against. The Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Saints, the Browns, the Titans.
Yeah.
Wow, their losses, they scored 10 points against the Steelers. They scored 10 points against the Chiefs. They scored 15 points against the Cardinals. So that's three division leaders that they played. Didn't score more than 15 points against any of them. And their 6 wins have come against 5 really bad teams and then Denver on the road division game.
Yeah, fortunately for them, they're going to get the Raiders and the Broncos again.
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati.
I talk about it all the time. Like, it's the benefit of having the last place schedule. They did. I mean, they had the 5th overall pick in the draft. They were really bad last year and totally unraveled. And they've taken advantage of that. To their credit, we've seen a lot of Chargers teams that just like blow those types of games over and over again and end up with 8 wins because that's how they are. But they're about to go on a stretch where it's Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Broncos.
Yeah,
the next 6 weeks.
That's tough because that Buccaneers game, I mean, you're looking at Mike Evans likely. Godwin's out, but Mike Evans possibly coming back. And Tampa Bay, possibly, if they can find a way to sneak a win or 2 in, maybe contending for an NFC spot. I don't know. I'm not sold Tampa Bay is going to win much more this year with the way their roster is. But you never know. So, yeah, that Tampa Bay game. And one thing we can say about Baker Mayfield, he's competing. He's likely going to continue competing even in that Week 17 game. Let's say Tampa Bay's out of the playoff mix. What we've seen from Baker Mayfield is it doesn't matter. He's going to go compete in that game.
I can't believe the Browns just let him go.
Yeah, just let him go. And then brought in Deshaun and said, we'll overpay you. And then, Browns bad. And then even like, why let Joe Flacco go last year? Flacco certainly isn't the same guy this year as he was last year with Cleveland. Like, that's not the same. It's not the same guy. Yeah. It's not the same offense. It's obviously not working as well. And by the way, I do like that Anthony Richardson back as starter move. I think that's the right guy going forward for Indianapolis. But having Flacco there when Richardson needs to come out of the game for a little breath of fresh air, Flacco's the guy. But, Cleveland, come on. What are you doing?
I digress. Any college thoughts?
Not really. I mean, it's another decent week of college football because, you have so many teams that are needing wins, must win because they can't fall out of the top 12. Teams that aren't in the top 12, knowing that if they find a way to win and one of those teams loses, you never know. So, but like Utah, Colorado at 11 o'clock is an interesting game. But like two Western-ish type teams playing early. That's an interesting. Clemson, they've gotten several losses now, 2 losses, but they go to Pittsburgh. That should be an interesting game. I'm just kind of running some down here. Yep. Missouri, South Carolina, I think will actually be better than some people think. Boise State, our Ashton Genty guy, he's on the road this week. They can't lose that game. They are a 2-touchdown favorite at San Jose State. But probably the big game, Tennessee at Georgia, really kind of a loser goes home type game. If you lose this game, you're probably out. I mean, Georgia's mind, they are out. But they have a chance of getting back in with a win over Tennessee. Tennessee would be their second loss. They'd kind of be waiting on the outside looking in type situation. Oregon's at Wisconsin, maybe sneaky because the Badgers at home, a long way from Eugene. I don't know. Are we worried that Wisconsin might be able to contend? I don't know. Wisconsin's kind of bad, though, at 5-4. So those are just a few games I'm looking at right offhand.
That Tennessee-Georgia game, is that the, loser misses out on the playoffs or because it's the certainly if Georgia, who's sitting at 12 right now, loses that game, gets the 3 losses, they're done.
Yeah.
Tennessee probably could have a chance, but needs some help. I would assume they lose that game.
Yeah, they would have 2 losses. They have UTEP and Vanderbilt to finish their season. So they got 2 wins they could get there. Yeah, I mean, they would – what Tennessee with a win would be like, yep, we're getting in. Tennessee with a loss would be like, oh, man, we're going to have to wait 2 weeks and figure out what happens between now and then. Like, we need some help. We still might be in, but we need help. If you win this game, you actually can start thinking about, hey, teams are coming here for a first-round playoff game. Because if you're 5, 6, 7, or 8, right, you host a playoff game, and that's probably where they're going to fall. Or best scenario, which won't happen because they're not going to win the conferences 1, 2, 3, 4. So Tennessee, yes, with a win, could be like, hey, we're hosting a playoff game in December. Get the tickets sold. We just don't know who's coming.
All right. Shall we move on to do a little best bets for betting to wrap things up today?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Famously, these never seem to be like our best bets. They're actually a lot of times they're my worst bets, but they are still best bets that you can follow. You can fade at your own risk. Rodney so far is 23, 18, and 2 on these best bets. I am 16, 26, and 1. The Substack is about the same for both of us. So as far as record and things like that. However, we persevere. We march on. Rodney, your first best bet for betting.
Yeah, so I will start with, and I always do 2 college, 2 NFL, and I think you have kind of followed suit there as well. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh plus 12. They're at home, both teams 7-2. Kind of ACC, who's going to try to contend with Miami SMU here type game. I just feel like 12 is too much. Clemson might be able to win this game. I just think 12 points is too much for this game. I'm going to take Pittsburgh to cover that spread of 12 points. So that's my first best bet.
All right. It's my first one. And I've kind of gone back and forth on this one a little bit here. I'm counting on Georgia in a must-win game at home, coming off a bad loss to Ole Miss, to right the ship and to win this game. There's less pressure on Tennessee than there is on Georgia. I don't feel super confident because Carson Beck's been playing pretty bad the last few weeks, but this is sort of like the game that Georgia has to win, and I think they know that. And I just hope that they get it by 10 points here.
Yeah,
very convincing. I know.
Yeah, so I've spent a lot of time taking Georgia this year, and it just has not worked out for me. So best of luck to you. My second one is going to stick with you in the SEC, but I'm going to take Missouri, 2-touchdown underdog at South Carolina. So famously, the Missouri coach last week was quoted, Eli Drinkwitz was quoted as saying it keeps them in the college football playoff conversation. With 2 losses, I guess that is the case. And South Carolina actually would be as well. And with the SEC, like, you never know what's going to happen. A lot like the Pittsburgh-Clemson game, I took a game I feel is going to be competitive and took the 2-touchdown or double-digit underdog So I'm hoping for some competitive games this week, some close games. Don't care if Clemson wins. Don't care if South Carolina wins. But if I can get Pittsburgh under the 12 and Missouri under the 14, I'll call it a win. So there's my second best bets for betting in the college game.
All right, I'm only doing one college this week, and I'm going to give you 3 NFLs. I'm kind of subscribing to the Rodney method here of just taking the better team to cover. I think the Falcons are still a better team than the Broncos. Atlanta is wildly inconsistent. They showed that last week by losing to the Saints. Now they have a pretty tough matchup to go at Denver, but I believe in Kirk Cousins. I believe in the Falcons, and as an underdog here, I like their chances. So I'll probably bet them outright to win, but I'll take Falcons +2.
Okay. I don't hate the pick. I always get a little nervous of teams going to Denver. Denver just seems like one of those places that, like, Denver might win this game 14-10. Never know, but yeah. All right, I'll move on to my NFL game. So I said earlier, my method this week is going to be like, okay, who do I think the better teams in the NFL are, and going with them. And I think Ravens are one of those teams, one of, if not the best teams in the NFL. Ravens -3 at the Steelers. Divisional game here. Ravens give up a lot of passing yards, but can Russell Wilson take advantage of that? I'm not sold on that. It is in Pittsburgh, which is a little bit, concerning. Not terrible weather yet. It might be colder, but not terrible weather yet. I'm just going to take Baltimore -3 here. I could see it coming in at 3. Okay, I'll push. I would obviously much rather push than lose. So I'll take Baltimore, who I think is one of the elite teams in the league, to win on the road.
My third best bet, the 49ers. I'm surprised it's only 6.5. They're a big home favorite against the Seahawks. This is one of those rivalries where it pretty much feels like the home team always wins. More or less. I think that they played earlier this year at Seattle, and San Francisco won pretty comfortably, but 49ers are a much better team. McCaffrey's back. I know last week at Tampa was close, and I mean, it's one of those things where you're traveling to the East Coast. Baker's going to give you a run, but I don't think the Seahawks will put up much of a challenge here. So I like the 49ers quite a bit. And at 6.5, I love that number. So taking the Niners for a big win.
Okay, and I could get with you on that one. My last one's going to be the Buffalo Bills. Now, okay, so don't get me wrong. I said I'm taking the good teams in the NFL, and Kansas City is certainly a good team in the NFL. If not, they are the best team until somebody beats them. But a little bit of do factor here, and in the end, I am taking the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC this year. And if I'm doing that, I'm taking them to win games. And a lot of factors here. I'm just taking Buffalo -2. The do factor for Kansas City is due to lose. I know that's not a great way to bet. Buffalo is really good. That's a good way to bet. Hey, here's a good team. They're only a 2-point favorite. They're at home. Several good reasons there. I'm going to take Buffalo. I'll take Buffalo -2. And if Kansas City beats me again, they beat me again. You at some point, you just tip your cap to Kansas City because they continue to win. This would be not surprising, but this would be an impressive win for Kansas City. No matter how they won, this would be an impressive win.
I would agree with that. And I would have to stop saying, oh, they're so overdue, because I'd be like, well, they're 10-0. And
yeah, they're just not going to lose. And we talked about this before the show. Like, do they have motivation of going 17-0? Maybe not. I mean, if they can get the top seed, it doesn't matter as much. But I mean, they've shown they don't necessarily need the top seed either. So a lot of questions there. I'm just going to go with Buffalo and hope for the best.
All right, my fourth and final best bet for betting. This is a system play. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I have to respect the system. The Texans just got finished against the Lions. They coughed up a 23-7 lead, losing to the Lions in Houston. They now got to go face their in-state rival, Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have looked very, very bad. Dak Prescott's not on the field. That said, 7.5 is a very big number for a Cowboys team that is at home, that is very desperate to get a win. The Texans, even though they have an extra day of recovery, are a little beat up after facing Detroit. Is Nico Collins going to play? I believe so, right?
I believe he
I believe
will.
so.
But
And
how
that'll
healthy
be and
will
that'll be a huge boon to Houston. But I have to respect the system, and we have to take the Cowboys plus 7.5. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because I have
I'm
respect for
with
the
you.
game.
I will be joining you Monday night on this one. Just did not fit into my best bets for betting. I will be betting this one. It's a lock as far as me betting it, because I said from the beginning I will take all the system games through the season. The best news for Dallas in this game is it's a 7:15 game. You know what that means?
No sun.
Yeah, the sun's not going to be in their eyes indoors. The sun will not be in their eyes playing indoors, Jerry. There's no sun at 7:15. You're off the hook for Monday Night Football, Jerry. Good job. I'll take Dallas. I don't love it either. You said exactly. We're both in the same line of thinking here. Like, I could see a scenario where Houston actually ends up winning like 52-3. Because Dallas just quits, and they are this year's GCD of the year in the NFL. Like, it is the Dallas Cowboys, a gutless, choking dog Dallas Cowboys. And if Jerry had any guts to fire a coach midseason, Mike McCarthy would be gone. Matt Eberflus would also be gone from the north side. But I'm taking Cowboys plus 7.5 because it's a system play. That half, though, okay, Dallas might be down 14, late game. They score a touchdown. We get that 7. We're celebrating, baby. We've been on the other side of that, so I wouldn't feel bad.
I love that the whole sun argument for the Cowboys too. It should affect both teams, but you really only hear it affect the Cowboys in a negative fashion. That's the part that's most hilarious to me. Like, the way that the Dolphins have Hard Rock Stadium, the sun beats down on the visiting thing, and it's like 20 degrees warmer on the visiting sideline than the home sidelines. They gave themselves a great home field advantage. The Cowboys decided to do this, and it only impacts them in a negative way. It's that's the part that's most hilarious.
They just can't see, which is kind of important.
Yeah, no, I would say so. I would agree with you there. Sight is good. All right, let's wrap things up with the Barry Bonds stat of the day. A little way to end the show, like we do every show here. This is a good one. I think you'll like this one, Rodney, because it involves one of your former St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
Do you remember Rick Ankiel?
I do.
Well, before Rick Ankiel was a free swinging slugger, he was a pitcher, and he had the opportunity as a pitcher to face Barry Bonds 3 times. Barry Bonds against Rick Ankiel, who, by the way, had to stop pitching due to the yips, was out of baseball, came back, wasn't a pitcher, was just hitting. Barry Bonds against Rick Ankiel was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts.
Wow.
By the way, he was facing a 20-year-old Rick Ankiel at the time.
Yeah. Lefty-lefty matchup there, always interesting. I obviously don't remember the exact time at that, but I do remember like this being hyped up because the young Rick Ankiel is like, oh, we've got a solution to Barry Bonds. It's this young fireball left-hander that Rick Ankiel ended up his career as a center fielder.
Yes. So it was first full appearance against 20-year-old Rick Ankiel. Bonds worked him to a full count before striking out swinging. Second plate appearance, Ankiel got him struck out swinging on 3 pitches. And then third and final plate appearance, again, Bonds struck out looking on 3 pitches. And that was the only time that they ever faced each other.
Good job, Rick Ankiel. We give you a shout out because there's not very many that can say Barry Bonds never reached base against them.
No. Well, that's it. That does it for Barry Bonds stat of the day. That does it for episode 23 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. It would have been great if Rick Ankiel was also named 20 or was also the number 23 to wrap things up. He was 24. 24.
Yeah, it would have been very fitting. So our next show will be our Rick Ankiel show.
Right. And also our Barry Bonds Pittsburgh Pirates show.
Yes, good one. The skinny Barry Bonds.
The skinny base stealing Barry Bonds show. Yeah. And then we'll have 25 next Friday, which will be the the roided out slugger Barry Bonds show that we know and love. 25 is also a number. Like 23 is the NBA number. Like if you're 25 in baseball, like you have to hit 500 home runs in your career minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, the Barry Bonds show, and then we're what 2 weeks away from the. Are we doing one the morning after Thanksgiving?
You know,
we probably should rethink that one.
Probably have to reschedule. We'll announce it on our social medias.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering where you can find that announcement, we are at Stupid Sports Show on Twitter. We're not calling it X. It will never be X. I joined Blue Sky, by the way. I finally gave in. I'll let you know how it is.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I don't know. I'm not quite ready for that yet. But yes, let me know. Let me know if I'm missing anything over there.
I will. But yeah, anyway, you can follow us at Stupid Sports Show on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. You could subscribe to us on YouTube. You can listen to us anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, all the above. So, yeah, that's going to do it for episode 23 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. We will be back Tuesday night, 9 p.m., to recap all things NFL, college football, probably sweat a little NBA. Draymond was so close to that triple-double, man. He had a good night. But
he was, he really wasn't far away, and pending an overtime situation, and it was close to that. Maybe he was going to get there, but it wasn't too far off. It wasn't my worst pick, that's for sure.
No, heavens no. The worst pick was when we took Larry Markkinen to be the king of the court.
Yeah, so that's back on Wednesdays, by the way. The king of the court is now back on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And this last Wednesday came in with a boom, baby. It was like, oh, we got Karl Anthony Towns is absolutely eating. Oh, Giannis is really good. Oh, Wemby's going to go for Giannis won, though, right?
Giannis got 80, dude. Yeah, it was like 59, 14, and 7.
But Wemby wasn't far behind, and didn't Wemby have double-digit blocks, which I know doesn't count for this? I
don't know what the blocks were. The problem is, I was looking at Wembanyama's stats. I don't know what he finished with, but he wasn't getting a lot of rebounds because he was shooting threes. He was staying outside. There was one point where I looked at his numbers, and he was like 45 points, but 1 rebound, 1 assist.
So he had 56 and 2.
Yeah.
And then also he had 3 blocks. Okay, so he's got double digits over his last couple games. Okay. 8 for 16 from downtown. So he finished with 58. So yeah, he really wasn't even close to Giannis. Giannis absolutely torched. And you mentioned Karl Anthony Towns, which I thought was a good pick, and it was, but didn't win. Didn't win. Good job, Giannis. I wonder how much. Did you look? How much did they win? What was the bonus?
Oh, it was like a $64 bonus bet for everyone.
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered to us. We would have lost.
Right. Yeah, no, it was there were thousands and thousands of people that took Giannis, and probably a good decision to take Giannis with no Dame against a crappy team. And yeah.
Although if I would have won that Wednesday night, you probably would have thrown it on the Commanders. I would have thrown it on the Eagles.
I don't know if I would have thrown. Yeah, like I don't know what I would have done with it.
Or you would have thrown it on Terry McLaurin over 2.5 receptions.
Yeah, and something stupid like that, and then just be so triggered all night.
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably what I would do. All right, let's get out of here. We'll be back next Tuesday night. Enjoy your weekend. Lots of football, and we will recap it all on the next episode of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Step right up, dummies, and listen to the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.